Good Sunday morning. I'm probably going to play a game, but we'll put myself full screen for now. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday morning. I did my morning work. And I don't know if you can hear it in the background. It's laundry day. Yep. Sundays and Wednesdays is laundry day. Well, today's Sunday, so it's laundry day. Oh my. Best to get it over with early. Let me just set this up. I tell you, can I get some warm weather? I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. It's got to be like, if I had to guess, I haven't looked. 43? Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
What's
Today,
off?
expect a high of 55 degrees.
55 is better than the 40s that it's been. It's crazy. All right, what am I waiting for here? Yes, I need the pop out for this. It's supposed to be 60 something tomorrow. Bike riding. No, maybe I'll film it. Yeah, I think I might. If I had time, I would take a, well, not really. I want to do a different trail. But I think I'll go back to the bridge tomorrow. I don't think I have a 360 video for that one yet. Like, that's really good. Which I better check my stuff later to make sure it's all charged up. But yeah, bike riding tomorrow probably. The thing is, it doesn't warm up to 60 something till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't checked the weather model in a while. So let's do that. Let's see what's going on in the country. There's a low pressure offshore. That's why it's cold here. It's dragging down that cold air. Here's that nice warm air, but there's some stormy weather coming your way. It's amazing that the Euro was right. Here's a high pressure. It's going to be pumping up that energy into Texas. And up here, you're going to have storms because you got a system here. And then it moves east. So this is going to be unsettled here for sure. But it's not that powerful of a high. So you don't have that major flow coming in from the Gulf. But it's going to be stormy up here. Not stormy, I mean rain. A lot of rain. I don't know what the temperature is here. Could it be snow? No, it's in the 40s. So a lot of rain. Still cold here. Here comes that nasty weather our way. Still not warm because a lot of the air is still coming out of the north. And look how cold the country is here. So far, so good for the south. Still unsettled here. Look at this. This is cold air. The whole country. Okay, we're gonna get a little warm up by Thursday. Again, unsettled weather. A lot of unsettled weather in here. But the temperatures aren't that high. Still cold here. Okay, here comes that high. We need this high to sit and bring up this warm air. Still cold. Here comes that energy in from the Gulf for the end of the week that could definitely bring some storms. And there's that high. Come on. And finally, some warmer air coming up this way by next weekend. So unsettled, cold this week here. No real warm up. Could be 60. I don't go past. Stormy next weekend. But the temperatures are definitely going to come up because of this high pressure. And there comes the cold. Unbelievable. It's going to be colder than normal. There's a pocket. Look at this cold air pocket. And even here, these are cold temperatures. So below normal temperature wise in the country as a whole. Definitely showery, rainy weather in the midsection of the country, down here in Texas, Louisiana, and here, unsettled and cold. It's just bizarre. This is what? Today's the 13th, so we're going into the end of April, and it's going to be cold. I don't know when the switch is going to go off. I'm just going to go crazy and go 2 weeks out. There's another high pressure, but it's way off. It's really not going to bring that warm air. What are they predicting? Look at this, 50s. 56 Poughkeepsie. That's by me. That's cold air. That's 2 weeks away. That's the 26th forecast. That's the end of April, and it's still below. That's definitely below normal. That is not normal. So a below average temperature month of April for us here. So leading in, that's not looking good. I won't be able to touch the pool till May. Sometimes my pool is open first week of May. Like swimming temperature. Not this year. This year I'll be lucky to get third week of May. Because the water takes time to heat up, to warm up. Even with a solar cover, and being that it's in the sun all the time, the temperatures at night drop, and the water, it doesn't allow the water to really contain its temperature. Whatever it warms up, even with the solar cover, if that temperature drops to the 50s, the water's toast. It's not going to warm up. It has to be consistent. So it looks like it's going to be cooler spring at the onset than normal, if just looking at the models. So not a nice month, which means not a nice month to go bike riding either. So that kind of stinks. But that looks like the weather. And that's for 2 weeks from now. But going back, this is the Euro model that I use. So today, let's look at today. Let's focus on now. A lot of showery, rainy weather here. There's a system right here. So if you're on the warm side, here's the cold side. Not cold enough for snow, not even way up in the Dakotas, no. But it's going to be unsettled. And you're definitely going to have some possible stormy weather. It doesn't look like impressive. There's a high pressure right here. It's weak. It's bringing in that flow here into Texas, Louisiana. You never know about severe weather. There's always the possibility. I don't see it, really. Let's look at the radar. That's not a radar. What happened here? That's a terrible radar. Radar plus. Let's go to weather radar. There doesn't look to be much precipitation right now. It's up here. So that's good. There is up here. But not into Texas. Even though they got that moisture coming in, looks actually nice. Yeah, there's not much there, but see this? Got to keep an eye out because the flow is coming up. But it's dry. Alexa, what's the weather for Corpus Christi, Texas?
Right now in Corpus Christi, Texas, it's 71 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly sunny skies. Today's forecast has lots of sun, with a high of 86 degrees and
rain.
a low of 66 degrees.
So the rain is going to stay, it's going to stay up here. Right up here. This is where it's going to be stormy today. So nice, look how nice and clear. Beautiful weather down there. They need it. Over here, not so much. We're getting rid of this. It's been raining here for the last 3 days. Terrible. That system in New England Northeast. And it's been taking its sweet time moving away. It's just spinning and rotating. But maybe tomorrow it'll be nice, but look at this. Look at that cold air driving from the north. And even when we might have a break, but then this system has to come through for us. So we're going to have off and on showers for the next few days. System after system. Let me look at the overall picture here. So there's another system. Another system. Another system probably going to go into Canada and drop down. So you could see the systems lining up. 1, 2, this one's exiting. And then you got to watch here as they come up and then they work their way down. Let's take a look what's going on here. This is Asia. I always check here for typhoons. There's a system going over Japan. Nothing. Quiet. It's not that time, but you never know. Most of the activity this time of year, as it's entering fall, it's fall now there, entering their winter, is right here. Australia. They're now in their fall, approaching their winter. As we approach our summer, they're going to their winter. So they just finished their cycle of cyclonic weather. Hurricane, typhoon. So it even looks quiet down there. So yeah, that's basically what's going on. Nothing alarming weather-wise. Thank God. Because a lot of the country suffered from really bad, horrific weather. Last week, it was brutal. Anyway, I think I'm going to play a game. Actually, I want to get back to that racing game on Xbox X. I'll hold off on the 360 for today. Now today, because we always pre-record on Sundays, the shows that air tomorrow with Toby and I, Marked by the Sky, those are always pre-recorded. And they air on Mondays, 6 to 7 on KGRADB.com or wherever, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X, at Global Radio Live. But tomorrow the focus is going to be what Pavel's been researching. He was on here yesterday with Mark D'Antonio for a bit. It's all about what's breaking, about the Peruvian government finally releasing information about the Nazca mummies. Now, they are humanoid. Well, nobody's saying they're extraterrestrial. There's a thing out there that people are saying they're extraterrestrial in nature. One of them, I think it's one. I don't know. Pavel will correct me today when we do the pre-record. 3 fingers and 3 toes, but it's humanoid. And the Peruvian government has validated their credibility as not being fake, that these are real specimens, humanoid. Now I think Toby's going to talk about, I mean not Toby, Pavel's going to talk about it today. He's going to get deep because he's really been on that. So I'm really curious to see what the Peruvian government released, who's going to have access to it now to study it, because obviously until I see further scientific data, evidence that it's valid, just because it comes from their government still doesn't convince me it's real. That would be like if any government came out with something, I have to question, is it real? What makes them different from any other government? So there has to be a lot of scientists that get access to it from international community to say, okay, this is something. Until that, I'm not convinced until I see more. I need evidence. And that's why I always say with this UFO thing, UAP thing, I mean, I've been involved with this and I've said it and I could put up my case on the screen. It's amazing how some people out there, they make claims. Yes, I seen something. Well, I documented a case on New Fork in 1995. I can pull up the case right now. I always talk about it. The boomerang triangular thing I seen go over my house with 5 bluish. The thing you hear about all the time. I seen in 95 and I documented it. And I wasn't into UFOs and all that stuff. I was not into it like I am now. Like I'm constantly involved with it. I freaked out. I saw something on my window. It was Windows 95 days. I went on the computer to see where I can report what I just seen. I didn't find MUFON. I found New Fork, Peter Davenport's site, and I wrote him an email. At that time, it was an email. A few days later, he gets back to me, Bill, you're not alone. Many people seen it from New York City up the Hudson River into Canada. And then he listed the types of people that seen it. I wish I had that email. Peter will never remember anyway. He's getting up there. He's got other people running. But I seen it. Before Phoenix Lights, all that, the same descriptions, I seen it in 95. Documented. It's a documented case. Because there are people out there that try to make themselves relevant. Yeah! I've seen one too. Meanwhile, I'm not so sure about that. They're just saying they did to make themselves be relevant and be part of. I question that. because they just want to be part of. And they're full of it. They start inventing stories. I've never invented mine. So, and I had at the time a friend made a model of the boomerang. It's in my room. I don't even know if it works anymore. I should rewire it because I rewired these models. I'm sure I could rewire, or I could build my own model. And I should, of what I seen. But my friend Martin Willis, it wasn't like that. It didn't look like that. But what I seen is similar to that. But it's the typical. And I didn't see if it was the thing that I seen, it was hard because I did not see the craft. I did not see the craft. It was dark. All I saw were the lights. So this is a thing that Martin Willis painted. It's a triangular with a orange reddish light in the middle with 3 lights, a light on each corner of the tip of the triangle. That's not what I seen. There was no light here, but I seen a light here in the middle and a light here in the middle that caused 5 lights. That's what I seen. 5 lights. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I seen. It went right over my house at 11 o'clock at night, heading toward New York City. And how I remember it so clearly is that night they were showing Pocahontas in Central Park. It was a thunderstorm. I love weather. 95, I'm still observing weather. I was looking at a thunderstorm out my window. That's how I seen this thing. So it was 11 o'clock and the fireworks were going off. I guess they had fireworks after the movie. I hope so because I saw colors in the clouds. Like red. I definitely saw red. I can't remember. I remember the red in the clouds. And this thing's heading right toward it. So I'm assuming they had a fireworks show after Pocahontas was shown in Central Park. And this thing it moved fast and in no sound went right over the house. And I was like, what? And there's another story to this I never tell, and I'm not going to tell it now because it sounds just so bizarre, I don't even want to get into it. It's connected to that same night. But I'm not going to get into that. Because it is so, you would think, I mean, it's so insane, like the story that, so I was taking care of my neighbor's kid at the time. He was like 5 years old. And I had, I was above my mother. My mother was on this, I was on the upper floor, right above my mother. And he tells me that at night, he saw, because I had a chair in the bedroom, and I had a king bed. And I was sleeping, and he was sleeping on the other side. He said, Bill, you were sleeping. His name was Dom. And this thing appeared in the chair, went up to the side of the bed near me. You were sleeping. It looked at me. I looked at it. And then it walked back to the chair, sat down and disappeared. And he described a reptilian. He didn't know what the hell anything of this was. Now, he seen that thing go over the house with me because we were looking out the window together. Hey, Dom, look at this lightning. Look at this thunderstorm. He's seen it too. 5 years old. He described a reptilian. I didn't even know what a reptilian was at the time. I wasn't into this stuff. But he said it had scales, 3 fingers, the whole deal. And then he tells me, please don't tell my mom. Of course, I told his mom what had happened. And he got mad at me. Why did you tell, it's like I betrayed, because it was like that. So, was this kid's imagination because of what we had seen? Or did he really see something? Because why would he tell me not to tell his mom and then he gets hurt that I did. Like I betrayed his trust. He's 5 years old. So that's part of the story I don't tell because it's so wild that I don't even know what to make of that. But what's important is what we seen. That's what's important. But that night, he comes up with this story. And it kind of freaked me out because I was not into this stuff at that time. But I sure did get interested after. That's why the other night, the UAP Crossfire did a show about the impactful cases. And I had to jump on. And I said, you know what? I told them, and I could put the show clip on. I told them my three. Travis, Betty and Barney Hill, and the whole Roswell thing. Those are the three that impactful cases to me. Roswell, it's really the one that started all, other than Battle of LA, but it's Roswell. When it comes to government secrecy, all that. Agencies created, the whole thing. And to this day, it's still, out there, the lore. I don't know anybody who doesn't know about Roswell. Travis, that's goes without saying. And Betty and Barney Hill is an intriguing case to me. And there are so many others, but the top three of those. But then I said this, and you know what's an impactful case? Your own. Mine. That impacted me. It impacted me how I looked at things. It changed everything. Because now I started questioning everything. And then in 99 or 2000, I don't remember what year, fishing in Montauk. I had my poles, nighttime, campfire, beach, chairs, music, right on the beach, on the ocean, surf casting. Had the poles in the holders, these little lights on the tips with bells, so if something hits the line, I'll see the light, the tip of the pole, and the bell will go off. I got something. That's how you do it, by the way, at night. It's really cool, actually. And then I was joking around. I said, because of what happened in 95, I said, I'm going to call the aliens. As a joke. Just messing around. So I took my big flashlight, and I went like this. And 10 seconds later, lights appeared over the ocean. Crazy. And it was a clear night. It was just unbelievable. Mom runs to the hotel room. She'd tell you. She's gone. I'm like, where's Mom? And I see her running. Like, where's she going? She was scared. So, her friend, which I actually should call him. He worked in the post office with Mom. They're very close. And he was there. He stayed. And there was a few other people. I can't remember who else was there with me. But there was a few of us. We seen this. And it was unbelievable. So that happened. And then, who I really need to talk to. Now, Montauk is the easternmost point of Long Island. And it sticks out. So I don't know if it's the most east point of the United States, but it's close. As far as to the Atlantic. Sticking out. It might be. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of mystery connected to Montauk itself, with the Montauk Project, Camp Hero, all kinds of lore. It depends who you talk to. There's a creature that was around, that was loose, based on the rumors of Camp Hero, the Montauk Project, all kinds of stuff. And the people, the Montauk Monster is actually an animal that washed up on shore. And then there was a place off of Montauk that they did experimental stuff. I can't remember the island. But they were known to do some testing on that island. Plum Island, I think it's called. So there was a lot of lore in Montauk. A lot of people had seen stuff in the sky. I mean, but they don't talk about it. They don't like to talk about it. The residents of Mount Talk do not like to talk about this. The town people. Because the guy that came out of the house that seen the thing that we seen said, I can't talk about this with the people in the town. They don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. Because it brings up the tourists to come there like this is a UFO thing. They don't. This is a fisherman and tourist vacation spot for the beaches, all that, and fishing. They don't really want this lure of people coming up being curious about Camp Hero and all that stuff. They don't. They really don't. People might think they do, but they don't. I've been going to Mount Tongue since I was a baby. So I wish I had the clip. So Christopher Garitano sent me a clip because I told him about my sighting that I had in Mount Talk because I knew he was working at the time on Mount Talk Chronicles, which, believe it or not, Stranger Things is loosely based on that. And he was tight because it was kind of like they took his idea and ran with it. But that's a story for another day. But he was, and I don't blame him. He was really upset. And he went to Mount Talk. He interviewed the people that supposedly were involved with the Mount Talk project. And he got into, which is in the film, I think. He got into the area of Camp Hero and was able to look at certain things. But I thought the Mount Talk Chronicles was excellent that he made. That's just my opinion. I thought it was excellent. Let me see if it's on his YouTube. I highly doubt it. I don't know where it is on my computer, and I'm not about to look because I have too many clips. I know I have it somewhere, but it would probably be impossible for me to find. So I'm going to look up his channel. I wonder if he still has it. Phosphorus, I think it was Phosphorus Films. Let me see. Chris Garitano. Mount Talk Chronicles. I need to talk to him. I gotta catch up with him and see what the heck he's up to now. Okay. Where's his stuff? Where's his channel? Let me look at Phosphorus. White Phosphorus Films. I knew it was Phosphorus. I knew it. Videos. Deleted scene. Deleted. Let me just put the word deleted. Okay, good. Let me go. I just gotta check on Mom. I heard her. Hey, Dum Dum, you okay? fine. She's resting. So anyway, getting back to this. So 99. Or 2000. On the beach in Montauk. Oh God. None of these work. So I'll explain I'm gonna show now. I need to find something right now because I can't even find it. Checking the laundry too. I may need more coffee. So Montauk, I'm gonna put up Google Earth. It's important to understand what I'm about to explain. And I'm also going to show my Newfork case. I really do have a case. It's not like I made it up. I've been talking about this for years. And nobody really, back then, if you talked about UFOs 25 years ago, 20 years ago, people thought you were crazy. They still do. But now that conspiracies are kind of taken as authentic, talking about UFOs is taken pretty much seriously too by a lot of people now. If you can listen to a person talking about a conspiracy, why can't you talk to somebody listening about seeing a UFO? You believe in conspiracies, right? Well, this is no different. But back then you couldn't. No way. So, just to give you an idea, I'm going to share my screen now. So this is Montauk, Long Island. And it is not the most sticking out point because this is. But right here, this is Montauk, New York. It's Long Island. So I go here, I used to. I haven't gone there in a long time because I'm so busy. But I used to go here all the time. So I would stay in a hotel. It's not a hotel anymore. They sold it. It's in town. Right? Yeah, right there. That's where I used to stay all the time. Right here. This is my spot. I walk to the beach and fish. Right here. With my poles right in the ocean. Boom. So this is where I be. That's the town of Montauk. Camp Hero is up here. The lighthouse is here. So, again, Camp Hero has a lot of mystery, stories, all kinds of stuff in here. Based on this old installation, military installation, that the government used to have during the Cold War. Right here. It's abandoned. There's no trespassing. They have it fenced off. But Chris managed to get in there and did some filming in there. There's still a lot of rumors that there's still an underground facility here, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, remember, I'm fishing off that beach here. Actually, yeah. In town. See, there's the Hamptons are down here. Kearney's, well. The Hamptons that you hear about are down here. This is where the Hamptons are. See the Hamptons? If you ever hear about the Hamptons, that's it. Well, Montauk is all the way up here. So I'm facing east when I'm on that beach. So, like I said, I'm facing east from town at that beach resort. Right there. Okay. Now we understand that right now. So then Chris tells me, Bill, I've got something you need to see. And I'm like, what? What's going on? You must see this because it's connected to what you've seen, possibly. And I'm like, okay. He has it on his YouTube page, White Phosphorus Pictures, but it's a deleted scene that was not in the Montauk Chronicles. And at the time, I was talking to him and I asked, is this boatman still alive? No. I would have loved to have spoken with this boatman. Look what the boatman says. At the same time. And I was like, ain't this something? And Chris was like, when he showed me this, I was like, what? I'm going to play it now.
Deleted scene is from a much larger segment that I'll probably show you other parts of in the coming weeks. I was contacted by a man after the initial Montauk Chronicles trailers came out online. I met the boatman after he contacted me. He saw some trailers for, the early trailers I put together for Montauk Chronicles version 1. And so in between the first and second movie, he contacted me, and it was towards the last couple of cuts of the second film that I met him. And he wanted to speak more about his own experiences out at Camp Hero. And so what you're about to see is a really interesting story that he told about an all-night shark fishing trip and what he saw on his way home.
This place was barren in the 70s and 80s. Barren, especially in the winter. Especially in the winter. I mean, all you had with, the fishermen during the fall run, and once the fall run was over, that's it.
That's true.
Gone. Everybody's gone.
That is true.
Good solid 6 to 8 months of nobody out here. But, what a great place to have a facility. I'm a Long Island fisherman, and I fished out in Montauk for many years, and there have been times where, one specific time where there was a sighting, UFO sighting. Quite a few years back, we were shark fishing just about 12 miles south of Montauk Point, just south of this radar tower and lighthouse. And
Okay, he said south of the radar tower, about 12 miles. That means he's in front of me. He's right in front of me because I'm south of him, about 12 miles on the beach facing east or out to the ocean, and he's out there fishing, shark fishing. So he's exactly, because I remember, and I should call my friend, my mother's friend, I seeing a boat out there with a light in the distance. And it was it's crazy. It's probably him.
we were shark fishing at night, and we were on the deck hanging out, throwing chum overboard, no bites. Beautiful night. It was actually really clear.
Yep.
Really, really clear. I'll never forget that night because you could see all the stars. It was in a haze. It was like a 3/4 moon.
Yep. The moon was settling.
Moonlight
Yes.
On the ocean. And it was actually really beautiful. I'll never forget it because you could see Venus just due south. And it was just lighting up the entire, I mean, it was just beautiful. And out of nowhere, right over our boat, within a split second, you didn't even see it fly over or come near us. It was just
Jesus
orange,
Christ.
blue, yellow, white, orange, blue, yellow, red, red, orange, blue. It was just a massive amount of colors.
See?
Really quick. I remember blue a lot for some reason.
I don't remember the blue a lot. I remember the red. I don't remember it because it's so many years ago. But he said it appeared just like out of nowhere. And that's exactly what happened. It appeared out of nowhere. So he's seeing the same thing that I seen with other people on the beach. He's on a boat witnessing the exact same thing. When Chris sent this to me, I was like, Chris, this is crazy.
And it was just like a reddish blue, reddish blue, reddish blue, orange, 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 reddish blue, and then a big white light, and then the object just disappeared within a split second. I would say less than 2.5 seconds. It was something I never would imagine in a million years of ever being subjected to, but it was pretty awe-inspiring.
Yes, it was.
Mesmerizing. That's
Yes.
a great word I have to use, is mesmerizing.
I say that all
So
the
I-
time. I say that all the time. It was unbelievable, that experience. He seen it. The boatman seen it. What are the chances that there's another witness at the same time that I'm witnessing it there? Chris freaked me out when he sent me that clip. And this is at the time the Montauk Chronicles came out. This is going back. And I was like, oh my gosh. Let me see. I'm gonna call. My phone is dead, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to call Mom's friend. He's probably at church. I wanna see if he remembers who was with us the day that we witnessed that. Mom ran to the hotel, so she's not a witness. She was gone. She thought we were gonna get abducted. She says that all the time. She thought we were gonna get abducted. She was freaking out. I see her running. She's going to the hotel. The chicken. We were all standing there like, whoa. Because it was beautiful. And like he said, it was awe-inspiring. It was just beautiful. We were not scared or nothing. It was just unbelievable. Oh, here we go. I turned the phone on. Instant nightmare. I can only imagine all the messages. That's actually not too bad. Here we go. Oh, Don's getting ready for his show. I'll set that up later. Who's this? Oh my God. Stop it. I'm just clearing out all these messages. Severe threat Monday. Where are they saying this is?
Tracking the next storm system, which could bring the possibility of severe weather to parts of the Ohio Valley, from Louisville to Columbus, from Pittsburgh down to D.C.
Tomorrow.
This will be on Monday. Scattered.
I'm just getting rid of the messages. There's a ton. God. My God. And we're going to update the apps. Let's do that now, and then I'm going to call him. This is Mom's friend. They, like I said, they worked together for years at the post office. And he was there. I don't know if he's going to pick up, though. I'm still getting messages. He might not pick up. He might be at church. Hopefully he'll call me back. Yeah. Hopefully he'll call me back. But that is bizarre. What happened on that day, that night actually. I'm just checking some. I'm not even going to get into that. can't read that. Well, whoever was watching on TikTok, Colton YK, thanks for following. As I see the notification, I don't know when that was because my phone was off. But getting back to this, I'm gonna go to New Fork. How many people actually took the time to even document it? I was freaking out. I was just trying to data bank. I was just trying to, who could I tell? Who could I report it to? And I stumbled onto his site. By state. New York. Let's see. And it takes, because it was, remember, this is 1995. So it probably took a lot of time to get all this stuff onto a digital site, you know, to put everything on the database. I know he's got people helping him. Let's share the screen. Let's see if we can find my case. Search. Because it's got to be occurred. It has to be in 1995. Let me put my camera on. I don't know if he posted it right away. I don't know. I will have to check. So search. How do we search? Triangle? Triangle? Oh my God. Let's skip a few pages. What year is that? 93, 94? 95. There's mine. 6/10/1995. 11 o'clock at night. 2300. Boomerang or triangular 5 bluish white lights. There's my case. There's my case. Open. And this is what I reported. And it only lasted a few seconds, 10 seconds. It was quick. Boomerang or triangular 5 bluish white lights occurred during a thunderstorm. The craft was boomerang triangular in shape with 5 bluish white lights underneath. I was living in the Bronx at the time and object was heading south towards Manhattan. There was a movie being shown in Central Park, Pocahontas, that evening with a fireworks display. Object made no noise and moved fast. That is my documented report. Right there. Now, when did he... So they caught up with the database, but 1995. No joke. So, you know, at least I have a documented case that goes back. I like to see somebody else's case that go back that far. And back up what they say. Some people don't make reports. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't. They don't know how to. But I didn't know how either. But I was trying to find somewhere I could find somebody to tell. And I stumbled onto New Fork. I didn't stumble onto MUFON. I stumbled onto New Fork. And that's where I made my report. And then that thing happened in 95, in 99 on the, or 2000 on the beach in Montauk. And then I move up here in 2007, late 2007. No, actually early 2008 to be precise. I think. I don't remember. But anyway. And then, you know, I started getting involved with Pine Bush. This is the UFO supposed hotspot. And I've picked up stuff with a camera above my house and some weird stuff. So, yeah, that's why I'm super interested in this stuff. And like I always say, there's odd people out there that never had an experience. I've had 2. Now, the first one, that one, the triangle, it could have been a military. I mean, I'm reaching for the logical conclusion. It might have been some type of a military prototype aircraft. If I'm going to try to reach a logical explanation, yes. It might have been, but I don't understand why it would be out there in the middle of a thunderstorm heading toward New York City at 11 o'clock at night. I don't know, and in a thunderstorm, no less. Doesn't make sense to me that it would be a military aircraft, but you never know. But the thing on the beach in Montauk was above and beyond. That I cannot say was a plane, a helicopter, or anything else. No Aurora Borealis, no. This was wild, and that's what that fisherman said. So this was something else. And it's not like it's fireworks with a big barge in the middle of the ocean. It's not even 4th of July. They wouldn't do it anyway. It never happens. This was something. And I don't know. It was dark. It was nighttime. But it was unbelievable. And Montauk has had a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have reported seeing things in Montauk. It's actually a hot spot. So I'm not alone. And I wasn't alone that night. Like the person I just tried to call. Hopefully he'll call me back. Because there were other people that I just can't remember who. In our group. That were on that beach that day. That night. But he was there. He's seen the whole thing. He was right next to me. Watching the thing. We couldn't believe it. So, some people have experience, some people don't have nothing. But it's amazing when you do, because it makes you say, what the heck is that? And what's going on? Because this is 2000. It's 25 years ago already. And there's a trench that goes down. I forgot what they call it. It's in the Atlantic. It just drops in depth in the ocean. It's like a crust. I can't think of the name of it, but it just gets really deep. And people always wondered, because this has happened, is there something going on? Underwater submerged UAPs, UFOs off of Montauk? Like you hear about the same kind of things, underwater bases in Puerto Rico. But this appeared out of nowhere, like he said. Like I said earlier, I took the flashlight, I flashed it 10 seconds later, the whole thing lit up. It was instant, just like he said. It just appeared. And I have interviews that I have saved over the years of me talking about this on shows. So it's also a matter of consistency and not just making this up all of a sudden, like people do out there. They just come up with stories. And then their stories change. It becomes more fantastic in nature. They add details to it. And I'm like, but I never heard that part before. That's new. But I've heard about this so many years, but now I hear something new on this. Are they adding to their story to make it more, like I said, relevant? Like, I don't know. But one thing I know, with Travis, he's always been consistent. And trust me, people have tried to go after him with all kinds of stupidity. That shit ain't flying with me. Like, I put him number one on my list of credibility. That I've talked to, been with, know everything about it. And he is a good man. An incredible family man. He loves all his grandchildren and his family. He is an incredible person. And if you ever met him, he's quiet. If he doesn't know you, he's very quiet, controlled, you know. He's very soft spoken. He's always soft spoken. But he's also incredible when you get to know him. Good morning, Nick. And you really get to know him. And he's funny. He's just a great person. A great ethical human being, by the way. Morals, principles. Like I said, he is a family person. He loves his family. So he's number one on my list. No doubt. And, I know a lot of people. And I like I've said this, and I know who has the rights to it, and I know it's about funding. And I know there's another group trying to make a film about it too. But I still don't see anything happening. And that's the Betty and Barney Hill case. And I know Kathleen has told me stuff, Kathleen Martin, and I know who owns the rights to it. But at the same time, there are other entities trying to create a movie about it from a different perspective. That's all I'm going to say. I would like to see that story come out in the right way. Because they did one years ago with James Earl Jones, but they need to make a modern movie about Betty and Barney Hill. In my view. Like really top notch. Because it's not just about what they experienced. It's also about the things that were going on at the time with an interracial marriage in the 60s. He worked for the post office. He was involved with civil rights. You know how that went off years ago, being an interracial couple in the 60s. And he did not want this attention after this came out. So that's an intriguing case. And it's not just about the incident, it's about their life and what was going on around them when they had this happen. That's just as big of a story as the actual event. There's a lot of story there surrounding, and the post, what happened afterwards, after they came out with it. And Kathleen, we're friends, and maybe one day I'll get her. She's so busy too, but maybe I'll get her to come and hang out with me. I know she would, because she's a sweetie. Just trying to get her. She's so busy too. She's an incredible person too, and she is a sweetheart. Another one. But there is some other entity trying to create. You wouldn't believe it. I don't know if it's public domain, so I have to be careful. I could do a Google search and find out. But there is another party trying to make a film, but this was a few years ago, and I haven't heard anything about it. At the, where? So Mike says, I remember being down at Gateway National Park in New Jersey working that day. There were lights, where the lights were seen. I was up in the lighthouse looking towards the bay, seeing different lights with no sound. It happens to a lot of people. Oh, you went bike riding? Good for you. Bring it around. Awesome. I wish I was bike riding today. It's wet. It's nasty out there. I did make a 360 video, though, of my bike ride through the Bear Trail last week. Anyway, forgot totally what I was talking about. Oh yeah. That. Oh, let me see if it's public domain. See, this is an old article. It is public, but it is. This is 3 years ago, and nothing's come from it. That was the same time as I seen the lights in Mount Talk. So see, he's saying he's seen something around the same time I seen the lights in Mount Talk. But this was, see, I told you this was a few years ago. It is public domain. And this is, and you won't believe who owns Higher Grounds Productions. Well, let's take a look. Netflix Eyes White Mountains movie adaptation from Higher Ground Productions. This is December 15, 2022. So this is a few years ago. And that's when I was talking about. This was a few years ago. And it's another, but this is old. Who knows if anything is going to come from it. Another production from the former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama with their Higher Ground Productions. The new feature film is reportedly called White Mountains and will be based on the true story of Betty and Barney Hill, a couple in the 1960s who claimed to have been abducted by a UFO. So, there's Betty and Barney Hill. So, who knows? I have not heard anything about this. Maybe it's not happening. It's very possible. It just didn't go nowhere. Somebody should do it. But see, I think it was Barney's, don't quote me on this, I think it was Barney's granddaughter who wanted to make this film done. So it's going to be more about Barney's perspective. That's why the Obamas got involved. Barney's looking at it from his perspective. See, Kathleen is directly related to both, obviously. But I'm not going to get into details. But somebody owns the rights to her side of it. It's complicated. But somebody needs to put a movie out about this and do it right. That's just what I'm saying. That's my opinion. That's number 2 on my list. And do it right. So who knows if it'll ever get done. My laundry's done. I gotta bring it to the dryer. I'll do it later. So I hope somebody does it. It would be nice. I mean, how many movies have been made about Roswell? Or film series, or documentaries, or whatever. So many. We need to focus on some of the other things that happen too. Like, I'm still, and I talked to him. You guys don't know what the man went through, Randall Nickerson, making Aerial Phenomenon. You do not know the details, because we sat down and we spoke about the absolute heck, that's the word I'll use, he went through, and some of the things that were going on behind the scenes. The whole thing when John Mack went to the school in Zimbabwe, and the kids supposedly seen these grays, or that's what they drew. And there's a whole story behind that. But John Mack, well respected until he got involved with this field. And they tried to remove him from his position. I mean, he got a lot of flack from this. somebody needs to make a John Mack movie and do it right. Because I still question what happened to him, though it was listed as. I still question it. And I know some people say, oh, it was an accident. You sure about that? Especially after what Randall told me about some of the people that was in his film and what happened. Well, one individual particularly. Some shady stuff. You know, people criticize Lou Elizondo for whatever reasons. Everybody has their thing a bone to pick with someone. It takes a lot, regardless of who you are, to come forward and talking about this stuff because people coming after you. And yes, he's got to worry about himself, his family. I mean, my God. Intimidation. That's why I wrote that song, Alien Disclosure. Threats. And people don't realize that. It's like, do you realize what it's like to come out and talk about this and then have to deal with that? And like I said, whether you agree or disagree is really moot. It's what the person is going through personally in their lives. And then people say, oh, well, there's a personal gain aspect in this. Why? What is the real intention here? Still, I don't care. It's about the person coming forward and talking about this. Would you, anybody who's watching right now, put yourself out there as a whistleblower, any whistleblower, for anything, knowing they're coming after you? Who's they? Could be anybody. Could be somebody behind a keyboard. It could be anybody. It could be any group. It could be an entity, like a group. It could be something else. To discredit you. To destroy your reputation. And then your family has to live with all this too, because you're put in the public spotlight. The kids go to school. You can only imagine. Phone calls somehow coming to the house, emails, everything else. Why would you want to do that? But yet some do. And again, you can question their motives. Why? Do they have the courage to come out and just tell the truth to the public? I can't say it to the American people because it's the public, it's worldwide. Or is there something else here? A personal gain, like contracting work or getting some kind of funding for a project that they're trying to create and work on. You know, people have all these questions and they're legitimate. What is the true agenda driven behind it? Like, why are they doing it? Is it for personal gain, or are they simply just want to come out with the truth and tell the world what's going on? Or is this, it's like this. Let me put it to you this way. Say I call a friend, and I hate this when it happens to me. Hey, Bill. It's not even like, they haven't called me in a while. How you doing? Talk a few minutes, and then here it comes. What do you want? It comes out. Like, I just want to know if you can, or if you could, or do you know, or there it is. I was waiting for that. What's the real reason behind the call? It's almost the same thing. It's kind of a weak analogy to use, but similarly, what is the true intention? What is really going on here? And people question that. What is the true motive behind it? And then people will also say, is this part of some kind of disinfo campaign? Because when people are handed by so-called insiders or whatever, they handed a video to air. Was that video given to that person to put out on purpose to the public as part of a disinfo campaign? That they purposely leaked that video, leaked, quote unquote, leaked that video so it can get out to the public, and now this can control the narrative that's going on in the public view. This is the latest. Pay attention to it so people focus on it. Is that intentional or non-intentional? These are legitimate questions. And there's so many. So this creates a lot of murky area here. So it's not easy. And I said it last week, and I've been saying it for a long time. And I've been saying about this, and so has Don Ecker and a few others, about this special access programs. I've been talking about this for a long time. And now it's like, now people are catching up to it. I even told Richard Dolan a few months ago, Rich, you got to check out The Atomic Energy of 1954. And now they have a revised version that was released in September of last year, based on SAPs. They revised it. It's like, who can see it? It even says they could deny the executive branch to see it. I wonder if they were doing that in preparation before the possibility of President Trump being elected. Because they knew that he was talking about being transparent, coming out with stuff. Who knows? But they did. I used to have the doc, but I can look it up. This is, see, when you do the research, it's going to be hard. SAP. I think it was released in September. People aren't even aware of this. Now, see, this is going to be, I'm going to have to spell it out. I got to try to get in contact with Chris. I got to see how he's doing. Chris Garitano. It's been a long time since I contacted him. Ah, this could be it. I may have found it. I found it. I gotta save this. I have to download this doc. I found it though. See, it exists. Yes, I'll replace it so it's more updated. So, if you don't know about special access programs, there's unacknowledged and acknowledged. They're categorized. And the unacknowledged is the one you want to pay attention to. It's need to know. There's no oversight. Think about that. No oversight. All these programs are going on. So this is an actual document from September 2024. I'm sure not even a lot of people in the UAP field even know about this. Because, you know, they just talk a lot, but they don't do the research. They just speculate. It's good to have, like, data and documents to back up what you're saying, instead of just being opinionated and speculating and attacking and judging and all that goes with it. That's one thing Toby and I do when we do our show. We keep it real. And we keep it respectful. And I will never, ever, ever throw anyone under the bus. I don't care. Never. It's not my way. There's plenty of people out there that love doing that. I am not one of those people. And never will be. Never. I just think that's a waste of time and it's stupid. It's like attacking someone. You don't know who they are. You don't have anything really a basis to prove that what you're saying is true, you're making an assumption based on what? You have the facts? You have evidence? That this person, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I won't go there, but I will go here. Because this is really important to look at. They just kind of redid this, and nobody was paying attention, because the Atomic Energy Act has specific wording in it from 54 about unacknowledged and the two types of classifications of SAPs. But they really redid it. And this is an actual document from the Department of Defense. It's not like I'm making this up. I'm going to make it bigger. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. Okay, it was done. I was right. September 2024, cleared for public release. It's available here. We'll do that after, maybe. Uh-oh. Somebody did something to the governor of Pennsylvania. His house. People are crazy, man. Okay, so let's go down. And it gets into like the different agencies. All DoD component contractors and consultants who require access to DoD SAPs pursuant to the terms and conditions, blah, 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 blah. But this is wild when we get to the main part, the oversight. Who's like the person in charge? That's what it's going through here. Well, let's get to the details right here. Look at this. The director. Under the authority, direction, and control of the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the director, DoD SAPCO serves as the designated proponent for developing and implementing policies and procedures for DoD SAP execution, management, administration, oversight, and governance. So it gets into all the roles that this person has. Look at this. Check this out. The DoD primary point of contact for SAP matters with agencies of the executive branch, that's the president, the judicial branch, Supreme Court, or court, and the legislative branch, Congress, including support to SAP congressional meetings, hearings, and responses to congressional inquiries, unless otherwise specified by statute or regulation. So this person is in control of whether they get access to it or not. Pretty much. SAP classifications, top secret. Maintains a single authoritative repository for DoD SAP personnel access and SAP facility accreditation. That's like SCIFs. Okay, this is like the power of this person. Implements procedures for sharing DoD protected information with foreign governments in accordance to this, that. So, sharing information. Look at this, polygraph. So there's a lot of stuff here that they did. But I think it comes... I'm trying to see where it is. I think it's up on the top. Let me go back up. Okay, policy. These are the rules. The DoD will establish and apply SAP security protection to classified national security information in accordance with all these codes to safeguard the DoD's most sensitive classified information related to advanced systems, capabilities, technologies, and operations from adversary knowledge when 1. The vulnerability of or threat to specific information is exceptional and collateral security requirements are deemed insufficient. So if you don't have the classification to see it, you're not seeing it. Period. 2. Required by statute. SAP protected capabilities and information are key enablers to gain and maintain enduring military advantages for the current and future joint force. DoD components will integrate these capabilities and sets of information across the joint force and will maximize prompt apportionment of SAP capabilities information to ensure effective U.S. warfighting advantages during times of conflict. The DoD will have SAP oversight authorities to oversee SAPs for which the OA has responsibility, blah, 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 blah. It's just a lot of stuff of the control. So pretty much they made sure how they can block people from getting access, and this person makes the determination whether they can or they cannot. Even the executive branch, even the president. It's unbelievable. See, this is important. The responsibilities. Under the authority, direction, and control of the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the Director, DoD, serves as the designated proponent for developing and implementing policies and procedures for SAP execution, management, administration, oversight, and governance. Let's see, foreign governments, portfolios, and there's that piece right here. DoD primary point of contact for SAP matters with agencies of the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, including support to SAP congressional meetings, because we know what's going on with that, hearings, and responses to congressional inquiries, even inquiries. So this person decides unless otherwise specified by statute or regulation. And you got to have the clearances. And it's in here somewhere, because I've read this. Maintains a single authoritative responsible personnel access at SAP facility. But there's another thing too about the credentials the person has to have. How they can get access. Here, right here. It's here. Develops and manages SAP process for governing specialized activities. Blah, 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 blah. In support of all DoD, remember DoD's Department of Defense, special access programs, and protects those processes using appropriate safeguards in coordination with this. This process allows personnel to access the level of information necessary to perform their duties while limiting the need for detailed briefings. And they have to appropriately reflect the SAP security requirements. They have to inform the directors before acting on any significant security issues that may be adversely impacted by SAPs unless constrained by higher authority. It goes into all this stuff. And you've got to have the clearance. And I know it's here somewhere. So this is a very important document. It might not look like it is, but it is. How they control the chain of release. I'm seeing if it says it in here somewhere. I know it does. This is the role, the responsibilities. I think it's in here somewhere. I'm not going to go nuts on this document. But yeah, this is the document that came out in September. I mean, they covered the bases. Here we go. Initial access to DoD SAPs will be strictly controlled based on broad collaboration and shared risk within the Special Access Program Enterprise. Access to a SAP will be strictly limited to the minimum number of personnel necessary. Granting initial access to SAP will be basically solely upon the determination that the individual, there it is, has a valid need to know, NTK, has the necessary security clearance, there's another big one, meets approved personnel security prerequisites, and will contribute to the program execution or oversight. And it gets into it. Determination of need to know will consider an individual's role and potential participation in separate but related SAPs. To enable collaboration and facilitate greater innovation, personnel with NTK may be accessed to similar information throughout the SAP architecture, blah, 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 science and technology or operations. All personnel access to this will notify the director or the other directors in a timely fashion when briefing or providing DoD SAP material to any member of Congress or their staff. No DoD contractor entity, contractor employee, contractor representative, or consultant will provide SAP material to any members of Congress or their staff without director approval. Bang! Bang! They could deny Congress. The director gets to decide who gets to see what. They've put safeguards in front of these SAPs. They've added layers of protection to deny access to even members of Congress. That's why Congress is going crazy, trying to get information. And in a hearing, I don't know if it was Luna, Representative Luna, or someone else that said, there's Abe, the UFO. Good morning. You're probably busy.
Everything all right?
Yes, I just wanted to ask. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you because I know you're probably at church or with the parents, but
No, I finished. I went to mass. I just got back.
I got a
I
question.
was busy with my father.
Yeah, I figured that.
How
Re-
are you? Happy birthday. Listen, I haven't forgot you. I
No,
just
don't
haven't
worry.
had time to send it.
No,
And
don't
I
worry.
just don't want you to think that.
No, don't worry about that. Listen, the reason I called you, when we were on the beach in Montauk, when we saw the lights over the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember who else was with us? Because I can't. I know mom ran to the hotel room. We know that.
Yeah.
But do you remember who else was there?
I think it was Donna's son, Mike.
Okay.
And then your stepbrother, Frank.
Frankie was there?
Yeah. Yeah, it was them. Because
Okay.
I remember, I think it was the time they were staying in the same hotel, or, East Deck, right? East Deck?
Right. He was there with his mother. That's
Down the way. Yeah, down
That's
on the
right.
In the same place, but for like a few doors down.
Now let me ask you a question, Abe. Based on what we saw, was that freaking incredible or what with all those lights over the ocean?
Yeah, man. It was like a communication going down because what you were doing with your light.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I was going to say, too? That now that you're talking a lot about that, on Newsmax, they showed more footage of a naval footage of a capsule, and they actually saw it coming out of the water.
Yep.
Did you see that? I'm sure
Yeah,
you heard
it's
about that.
there was a group that released it, but Abe, what we saw was no freaking aurora borealis, no fucking plane, none of that. This was something else. What we
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah, it lit up the whole area, and then the guy, that was when somebody came that was staying down the way on the beachfront, came down. Did you see what was going on there? Somebody else saw it too down the way and
Yeah.
came toward our campsite there and spoke to us.
Yeah.
I was constantly almost, pretty out of it most of the time, like drinking and stuff. But I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was always drinking. those
Well,
days.
that was something that hardly anybody in their life ever experiences. What we experienced.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable, actually. So anyway, go do what you got to do.
No, I kind of finished, but is
Oh.
Abel okay? Cause
Yeah, no, she's fine.
Because he hardly called, and and then I worry when I see you call. I worry.
No. She's fine. She's sleeping. She's good.
I called yesterday, and I left 3 messages trying to catch up with what's been going on and why I haven't been calling. I've been exhausted.
I hear you.
And I was going. They had another event day before yesterday for my father. The Borinqueniers thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
National Borinqueniers Day is every year April 13th, which happens to be my father's birthday. But
Oh my God, his birthday's today. Happy birthday to your dad. Oh my God.
yeah. I got him a card and some Army insignias things I got at the VA hospital and a little money and I got him a cake too because he's allowed to. His diet's a little more relaxed now. You just got to watch the liquid, the liquid and the salt. But sugar really is not an issue anymore for him. But so he kind of always asking for cake and things like that. So I got him the smallest little cake in the Spanish bakery on Intervale, and that's where we used to go a lot. And I got him to God Bless Papa on it. They wrote it. And then I got him the bread he likes from the Spanish bakery.
Yeah, I like that bread too. I know what bread you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a
The
white
sweet
light
bread,
up.
yeah.
I like crust bread. It's really good.
Yeah, I know.
And the guayaba, these little pastries full of
Yeah,
guava.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that he likes. And I got things that are my brother. I used to go every Sunday as a routine, but I stopped ever since, his thing went a little downhill.
Yeah.
But, today was the day, so I everything I used to get, I got it today. Oh, and the chicharrón, too, the real chicharrón.
Yes.
One time you asked me for that when you were up there.
Yeah.
And I brought it over from the real.
Yeah, that's the real deal. That stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I know you're into your diet and everything.
Yeah, I
You don't
can't
like
eat that no more.
anymore.
No,
You don't.
I can't eat that no more. No.
'Cause I remembered one time you specifically, get the real chicharrón, the real one.
But
The
if
real
you-
one, like from the restaurant.
But when you do come up, I still do want a Cubano. I want a Cuban sandwich.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I'll do the whole routine.
Yeah, the White Castle, because we don't have that here.
Okay, yeah, the usual.
Yeah.
Oh, and the peppers, you think?
No, because I get the peppers here.
Oh, we can. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was the 3 things that I would.
Yeah.
So I called yesterday, but I guess she was busy or sleeping or charging the phone.
Yeah, I got her
Everyone that I
training.
tried to call. Yeah, it's been really kind of busy. So they did. A lot of people there and took pictures with him and congratulated him and thanked him. His image came up on the documentary. His interview, the one that you sent me, that very one.
Yeah, that the state did at the house.
Yeah, that was awesome. The guy the producer of the show, he's like you. He has a podcast and everything. I'm going to send it to you so you can see it.
Okay.
It's a really good documentary. And the guy that narrates it, George Mercado, he's like captivates. He talks like you, like he strongholds the listener. You can't, and he really captivates you, And he's very informative, and he explains everything. He's a historian. And he's like a student of the many. And the reason he's so emotional about it is because his grandfather was a Borinqueneer 65th Infantry soldier too. He actually told us, and he hugged my father like he's hugging his own father, and he treated like his own family. And it was a really nice, organized thing. A lot of people were there. They had food. They had interviews. They had BronxNet News was there. And they lined them all up on the front table with their names in front. Then they asked everyone if you have any questions. So they, I couldn't record all of it. It was because I had to wheel my father around most of the time. I couldn't do both at the same time. But I took a lot of pictures. I'll send them if you want, and so Abel could see.
Yes.
But it was pretty good, man. It was not as good as the other one where you live streamed it.
Right.
Remember?
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as that, but it was something commemorating because every April 13th is National Borinqueniers Day, and happens to be my father's birthday.
Yep.
So they included that, but this time since it fell on a Sunday, they did it on Friday, and it was in Lehman College over there. In the
I know where.
center. Yeah.
Do you have Do you have Dad's medal that they gave?
Yeah. I took it out of his shadow box and I put it on his vest so he can wear it. I got to put it back in the shadow box, but
Is that the
Nice.
Congressional Medal of Honor? What
no,
is?
it's the Silver Star.
But didn't he get a medal from the government?
Yeah. That was like a replica of a Medal of Honor. Yeah, that was. It's not the actual medal, but it was a replica of it. That's the one they issued all the Burincaneers that the event that you live streamed.
Right. Because I remember that.
Yeah, that was the commemorative Medal of Honor. Yeah, that they gave out to all the Burincaneers.
And you have that, right? That's treasure.
He has that in a case.
Good.
He has that
Good.
In a case. Yeah, it's just like an image of a soldier with a helmet.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, like, they're working on something else coming up. He said he's going to keep me posted that there's a soldier that wants to meet my father because he was actually on the ship that they sent over. He was on my father's ship. So he's dying to run into my father.
Wow.
He knows my father. And that but the only thing, he didn't leave. He was born here, a Puerto Rican born here, right? In the Bronx. New York guy, he told me. But had went to Puerto Rico to enlist and leave. But he was on the boat with my father. So he's going to be there on the next time. He said he might even consider bringing him over to the house so they can...
Oh, you should definitely do that if possible.
Yeah, and then when he explained that to us, and my father heard, he had his hearing aids on, he really kind of lit up. He wanted, he's really interested in seeing who that is,
Yeah.
The name, he got the name, it rings a bell, but he says, I will know by face,
Right. Meeting him in person. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Wow.
so there's something else coming up, and so I'll show you that. I don't mean to hold you.
No, it's okay.
I'll send over there because I see that you had an interest in it, and then you send me that interview.
Yep.
That I was so glad I had it. Even Noemi Figueroa, that lady, she never sent that to me. I believe it's because I don't have Facebook. I don't have that. At the time, that was only available through Facebook, and I didn't have that. I don't know how to download that or whatever or subscribe to it. And my cousin's wife, Teresa, she's a Christian involved in a podcast too, but then she's on an Instagram thing. I don't have that loaded in too. And then she was wondering, what's the matter with you? Like, why don't you get it?
Yeah.
Like,
When you come over, I'm going to get you all these things.
Yeah, because I don't want to mess nothing up.
Nah, it's just an app on your phone you add. It's easy.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself vulnerable to anything.
No, you won't. You won't. But I will teach you that too because you can't open certain things coming from strangers because it's probably something that.
I don't want to. Yeah, but then I don't want to know what to do to remedy.
Yeah, exactly. They can.
So
There's a lot of scammers out there, Abe. There's thousands of them. So yes.
So if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not sure I'm gonna mess with that.
Yep. Never open a message coming to your phone that you don't know, especially a clickable link or an email or anything like that. Just delete it. Don't even open it. Just get rid of it.
Okay, see that? So that's why another reason, if I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Yes, don't.
There are those viruses or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's worse than that.
Your phone, worse than that, right?
It's way worse than that. It's malware. They're trying to get your information.
Yeah, but not that I really ordered things in my checking, but there's other things like my thrift in my savings plan.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. God. Yeah. You cannot mess around with that, dude. Don't. But anyway, go enjoy. Call Mom later because I know if it's possible, we want to say happy birthday to your dad too.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, Abe. Have a great one.
Okay. God bless you.
You too.
You too. All right.
Bye. See? He was there with the UFO thing. Now he says that my brother was there. That's curious because I didn't remember who was there. And you heard him. It was unbelievable what we seen on the beach that night. His father is a Korean War veteran. He's 95 years old. And there was, in Puerto Rico, the first separate battalion from Puerto Rico. And it was not part, it was a separate division that went to Korea. His father was part of it. They call it the Borinqueniers. And his father's a war hero from the Korean War. That's what he was getting into. And I'm sure his father's picture's here somewhere. I wouldn't doubt it. Right here somewhere. This is them. From Puerto Rico. So I'm trying to find a good page for this. I put all history. Oh God. Here we go. Puerto Rico's 65th Infantry fought brave in Korea, then had to fight for redemption. The Borinqueniers, the U.S. military's only all-Hispanic unit, saw their sacrifice and achievements overshadowed by a trumped-up court-martial. And they got recognized now, recently, a few years ago. They were finally recognized. These soldiers also spent decades trying to clear their name. The Borinqueniers, honoring the indigenous Taino name for their homeland. That's the Indian indigenous. Went from being heralded by General Douglas MacArthur for battlefield bravery to having 91 soldiers court-martialed and jailed in 52. After public pressure, the army quickly pardoned them, later blaming incompetent army leadership, poor military tactics, and racism and organizational prejudice from the events that landed the soldiers in the brig. So that's what it was. It was Obama that did it. That White House ceremony, and that's exactly what I was talking to him about. The Congressional Gold Medal. So there's a big history with this, and his father's part of that. And the history. Then there was an investigation, and they were cleared because of the bullshit that they had to deal with back then, being the all-Hispanic regiment. And that's the coin he was just talking about with his father, that he has it in a case right now. That's the medal. So yeah, that's what he's talking about. And he's been recognized by the state of New York. A Republican representative went down to the House because he can't travel. He's in a wheelchair. He's 95 years old. But they brought the ceremony to the House, which is incredible. And now they're planning another one. And like he said, every year they have a ceremony for the Borinqueniers. It was Friday. And there's not many of them alive, obviously. It's Korean War. So, and he might, it's kind of weird. When you look at family trees, especially if you do your own, I've done mine. And mine is so intriguing. It's unbelievable. When I say because people make they don't understand because they don't do the research. They don't know the history. People make a lot of assumptions not knowing the facts. So Puerto Ricans consist of so many different ethnicities. But because they're on the island of Puerto Rico, they're called Puerto Ricans. But there's more to that, obviously. When Puerto Rico was and the island belonging to Spain, before it was agreed upon that the United States would take it in 1890 something, 8 I think, where it became a Commonwealth of the United States. Before that, it was Spanish. It was Spain. I think it was Columbus in 1490 something. And I don't know about 92. Might have been 94. But Columbus is the one that brought them, Spain to Puerto Rico, and all those islands. Hispaniola, that whole area. Before the Spaniards moved on to the continental southern United States, Florida, and then spread their way into South America, why the indigenous peoples in a lot of areas in South America speak Spanish, and they're Catholics, Christians, because that's what Spain brought over, and their influence spread. They're indigenous, obviously. They're indigenous native to South America. People don't understand that. Why they speak Spanish is because the Spaniards brought it to that culture, along with disease and everything else. And religion, the church. You got to know your history. I hope people do, because history is questionable these days. But Puerto Rico specifically, the Spaniards took it over as a territory. Now, on that island were Taino Indians. And in those islands, native. I am Taino. It's in my blood. So they tried to wipe them out. They did. They pretty much, with disease and other things, they pretty much almost extinct. Wiped out the Tainos. And you can look that up. You don't take my word for it. Just look it up. What Ponce de Leon did. So the Spaniards are the ones that took over the island. And with that, they brought slaves. So when you look at what's going on in Puerto Rico, it's a combination of a lot of different cultures. Plus, that was a big European place of settlers as well. It just wasn't Spaniards. There was a lot of European countries that went there to settle. It was actually for like hundreds of years. So there's a major mixture on that island with the ancestry. And people might not understand this, but that's exactly what it is. So when they say, oh, you're Puerto Rican, what does that mean? Do you know what a Puerto Rican truly is? Well, guess what mine is? Mostly Spaniard, if not all. And then there's the mix with the Taino. I can prove it because I did my ancestry. It took me months. Months of hard tracking documents. But the Spaniards were great at keeping documents. And I traced one side of my family to 1410 because of the Spaniards' documents. It's incredible, but it took me a long time. And people may not believe it. I have the evidence. It's not like it's fake. I'm going to log in now. Christopher Columbus, he had a son, Cristobal. But in Spanish, it's not Christopher Columbus in Spanish. It's Cristobal Colon. That's how you say Christopher Columbus in Spanish. Cristobal Colon. That was his Spanish name. For those who may not know. I've got more hints. See, I have family reaching out. Members I've never met. They're finding my tree and they're reaching out. Which is a beautiful thing. I'm looking at my ancestry now. Okay. I'm just looking before I look for what I'm looking for. Okay. I did that. Now let's go home. Trees. Now I don't pay for this anymore, but I still have the records. Because it's expensive. It really is. And there are, like, for example, they might want me to try to pay for this. Yeah, $24.99. I have saved documents, but I can't access them because I have to pay to access them. It's such BS. But I do have the tree, which I'm going to now. Let me share it on the screen. Finding tree. This is interesting. This is just one. Where is he? Is this him? It's not highlighting the one I want to see. Capitan, my 8th great grand uncle. No, it's not that one. Where is he? Here it is. This is very interesting. And then I'll show you in a second. I'm just being careful with my information. Okay, so very important when you look at the names associated. Because it's the Spaniards kept their royalty intermingled in marriages. In other words, just like other royal, because you have to think that it was at that time, they kept it intact. Like you had to marry another a nobleman or a woman. They kept it like that structure. So this is my 8th great grand uncle that you're seeing on the screen right now. Capitan Don Diego Ramos Colon of the Spanish Royal Army. So he was a captain in the Spanish Royal Army. The name is important, Colon, Ramos Colon especially, and Diego. This is directly related to Christopher Columbus' son, Diego Colon. So he's a direct relative of Christopher Columbus' son. We'll get into that in a minute. Colon is the Columbus name. Colon is the Columbus name. Diego Colon especially. If I was to put up, watch this, because I got to be careful with personal information. Who is Diego Colon? It's in English, it says it a different way. Diego Columbus, not to be confused with this Diego, is the youngest brother of Christopher Columbus. But he had a son. Christopher Columbus had a son. So this is where the name Diego Columbus. Ain't that something? The youngest brother of Christopher Columbus. So there's a son, Christopher Columbus' son. Who was Christopher Columbus' son? And that's his son right there. His first son, Diego. Two different mothers. His first son, Diego, was born in 1480. And then he had another son, Fernando. But Diego Colon. I am directly related to Christopher Columbus' son. That's insane. And there's more on my tree. That's wild. In my tree. And it would be this. And I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm not. Because there's a lot of darkness to that too. To be honest. Okay. Because they were brutal. This is my 8th great grandmother. She was born in 1595. But I'm being careful with the information, because I have to. I'm trying to scroll it, but it's making me, I don't want other information shown on the tree. Okay, that's not gonna work like that. I'm trying to scroll up a little bit. I can't see the box. There it is. Okay. My 8th great grandmother. This is on mom's side. Catalina Echevarri Espinosa y Ponce de Leon. She's a direct descendant of Ponce de Leon. So Ponce de Leon is my ancestor. That's unbelievable. My 8th great grandmother. And they all came from Spain. Obviously. So I'm Spaniard, really. And came over on Columbus's ships to Puerto Rico. That's a fact. I even have the what is it, the coat of arms? One of them is Columbus's sons. Gallery. It's unbelievable. Okay, we don't want that. I gotta go to the tree. Where is my gallery? Let me see. One free potential ancestor. Yeah, I've done up to 1410 How much more do you want me to go? I'm looking for the gallery. Albums. Oh, here we go. Here it is. It's gonna look real tiny, maybe. Yeah, it looks tiny. I'm trying. I really don't want. I'm gonna save the picture. Zoom in, zoom out. Okay, we can do that. This is one in my family. Cologne. That is Columbus's right there. Cologne. That's one. And like I said, I'm being very careful because there's a whole bunch of stuff here. And it goes way back to Spain. I've got documents in here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to access them. The coat of arms from Spain. This is an actual document that I found to my again, the Spanish side. This is how you do it. And this is a document to one of my relatives from 1719. It took me a long time to do this. Spaniard document. That's an example. It's a lot of work. It took me months to build all this together. This is the original one that comes from Spain. The coat of arms, Sevilla, Spain. It's crazy. These are some of the gallery documents and the coat of arms from Spain. All connected to me. I had a lot of soldiers in my family in the Spanish army. Conquistadors are in my family. It's incredible. So when I look at, and then they mixed, when the Spaniards got to the island, they mixed in with the Taino Indians. Obviously. Whether voluntary or otherwise. So it's complicated. True history. I forwarded. I'm getting messages. I'm clearing them out. Yeah, that's crazy what happened in Pennsylvania. So, just looking at it historically, it's fascinating. Like the ancestors are all European, obviously. There even is a track going way back where the Spanish royal family in my family married an English noble person to merge them together. Like there was something going on at that time that the English wanted a part of their royalty marrying into the Spanish royalty. And so I have it's weird, I have a small percentage of English in here somewhere. And the Europeans, they traveled a lot. And at that time, so it's a lot. It's a lot. It's complicated. And it's fascinating when you start doing that on your own, like digging and finding out your roots, your ancestors. You'd be surprised. And it's hard to go too far back in time. Lucky for me, the Spaniards kept incredible documents. They did. They kept documents like on everything. Because it was a colony of Spain. But I'm trying to see, like my grandmother comes from the Canary Islands, which is Spanish territory. Direct. But I mean, she's been gone a long time. She was there in the late 1800s. Okay. So in Puerto Rico, it included French, Irish, German, Scottish, Italian, Lebanese, Maltese, Dutch, English, and Portuguese. All were on Puerto Rico. For hundreds of years. So Puerto Rico is a lot more complicated in ancestry than people realize. In the 1800s, the population was 155,000, and by the end of the century, there was almost 1 million inhabitants, multiplying the population by about 6 times. The major impetus for this massive European migration during the 1800s was the Spanish Crown's proclamation of the Royal Decree of Graces of 1815. And that's when all the people started to come to settle there. Europeans. It's unbelievable when I read all this. So it's like I said, there's a lot of history. And I brought it up because he was bringing up his father, the Borinqueniers, part of the all-Hispanic unit, infantry that served in Korea. So fascinating. It's just fascinating when you look at the details and the real information. Now, Ponce de Leon is a direct relative of mine. He is responsible for wiping out a lot of the indigenous. That's why I'm not proud of it. In his role of the indigenous population. They were soldiers. He was a top military official in the colonial government of Hispaniola who helped crush a rebellion of the native Taino people. He owned plantations and mines, and he was fighting an ongoing legal conflict with Diego Colon, Christopher Columbus's son, over the right to govern Puerto Rico. So there was a battle who was going to be in power of Puerto Rico, Columbus's son or Ponce de Leon. So both of them are related to me. Like I said, they kept things intact. when they went to Puerto Rico. So families married other families to keep that noble royalty intact. That's why you see all these extended names to it. He became a knight. Then he was reinstated as governor of Puerto Rico. So he was in Florida because, yeah, the Spaniards were the ones that pretty much controlled Florida. So in March 1521, Ponce de Leon finally returned to southwest Florida with the first large-scale attempt to establish a Spanish colony in what is now the continental United States. However, the native people, Calusa, fiercely resisted the incursion, and Ponce de Leon was seriously injured. The colonization attempt was abandoned, and he passed away from his injuries. And he's buried in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So there's a lot of history. But you see what it said? His involvement with the Taino Indians. Not nice. Because obviously, they didn't want the occupiers there. Oh, wow, he sent me a picture and a link to this documentary about his father. So again, history is, I guess, interpreted in the eye of the beholder. But if you really want to talk about true history, they went in and conquered and wiped out anything that was in their way and took it over. Territory, just like what happens. They just went in, took the islands, because it's more than one, and the Spaniards just colonized all that area. And they worked hand in hand with the Portuguese too. So it's not just Spain. And if you think about it, Portugal and Spain are the ones that control South America with their influence. That's why you have Portuguese spoken in the southernmost part of South America, because the Portuguese brought it there. And the Spaniards brought it to Mexico and all those other, Colombia. Why do you, like I say, why do you think they speak Spanish? It just popped up? No, the Spaniards brought it with the religion and the disease and the conquering. Because the same thing, they are indigenous of continental North Americas. What we now call Canada, United States, and South America was all indigenous, obviously, at one point. Until, across the pond they come, and they came here and conquered and took everything over. No different with the Spaniards. They did their part, as well as other countries. That's just the history. So like I said, a lot of my relatives were Spanish Army captains, and I need to take a trip, and it's coming soon. I need to take a trip to Puerto Rico and do some real investigative work there. It's even possible to go to Spain. I would love, because there's, like I said, I'm digging up a lot of stuff. And I want to know more. How much can I find out? I don't know, but I would love to find out. So it's personal. And it's important to me. Because as I learn about my ancestors. So that's how I got started with all this stuff. And like I said, I suggest you should, it's really interesting, but it takes time to dig into your ancestors. It's actually, it's fun to do because you're like, wow, I got my 11th great grandfather and mother. That's just unbelievable to think about how far back I go with my documents. As far back as 1410 in Spain, before Puerto Rico was known, or any of the other stuff of Columbus, by birth. Because like I said, the Spaniards kept great records. Lucky that I was able to access that. Because you can, if you know how to. And I'm pretty good at digging and researching. So I was able to. But like I said, it took me time working with different things to get that information. But, you know, when you show evidence of your family line, I want more information about, this is my great-grand, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm getting the chills just talking about it because it's wild. And then they know. They know you're digging. It's sometimes like Puerto Rico's a pain in the butt to get documents from. It's difficult. It takes time. It does. But they have it, but it takes time. Get the information come from that island. So there's all kinds of complications in itself. We're just trying to get the information. So anyway, I'm going to go because I have a pre-record to do. And Eric sent me something I have to look at before we do the pre-record. And then I've got a meeting at 4. I've got work to do today. I'll be back later. But right now, it's time to work. And actually start a fire because I'm like sitting here cold. So I got to get some firewood because I don't have any more here. I can't believe I'm still making fires. I can't believe that. The 13th of April and I'm still making fires. Because it's chilly. And it's going to be like this for like a week or two. To the end of April, it's going to be chilly. I've never had to deal with this like this. So this year has been the one year that has been different from the last 8, 9 years. Is that it's actually cold. Below normal. First time in like 8 or 9 years. Anyway, everybody, have a great rest of your Sunday, great weekend.